Hey, this is Jackie and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about this little flash that I picked up, which is the GODOX IT30Pro for my Fujifilm camera. I first saw this on YouTube. Matthew Ruderman did a nice video about it and I was curious about it. So I purchased it with my own money, and video is not sponsored, and I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review of this and also talk about my TT350 for Fujifilm from Godox. Let me start off first by saying flashes are really hard to figure out for beginners. They have a extremely complicated menu system that's convoluted, that is hard to figure out and hard to remember. The terminology they use on flashes can be very confusing. Why did I pick this up? I like the size of it. So for my X Pro 2 that I just recently got, this is perfect. I can just mount this right on here. And I've got a little flash to take with me, which I think it's a good size for a fill flash. A couple of nice things about this flash is it can act as a transmitter and a receiver, and it's got a full color screen on the back. And it's touch control, which is really nice actually for something this small. It has a narrow and wide diffuser built right into it, so you can just adjust that to your preference. And it has all the functionality that this has and more. Now, there's plenty of videos on YouTube about this new little flash. And there's plenty of videos on here about the other Godox flashes like the TT350 that I've got here. What I want to cover in this video is just a couple of the problems that I've had in just everyday using of these flashes. First off, let's just go over the IT30 Pro. One of the first things that I noticed when I got this is when you hit the button here to get to the menu, and you get a menu here. Now, I was looking at the manual and I thought, okay, where do I set the send and receive? And then I immediately started clicking on this. That took me to the channel and the ID. And then I was like, okay, how do I turn it to be a sending and receiving? So I'm looking in the manual and I see these other icons and I'm looking on here and I was like, well, where are they? And then after a while, I noticed this line here, which you may or may not be able to see. But the way that they've designed this is it defaults to the bottom menu. There's actually another menu above this one. And the way that I would have designed this, I would have designed it so that it automatically defaulted to the top menu, and that then you would scroll up to get to the other one. And then you'd scroll up again to get back to this menu here. But what they do is they take you here. You got to go down one more time. And I accidentally did this. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's two other. So you have another two above this, which is a lock. And this is the transmitter and receiver setting. So you press on that and it changes the icon to be like waves going out. So that would be your transmitter. And then if you have it off camera or your camera's off, you can set this to receive, okay? So that was my first issue that I had with this, is just finding that there. The other issue that I had was the manual. Great manual, yeah. Yeah, the only problem is it doesn't come with a needed accessory to be able to actually read this. You're going to need something like this if you have any hope of reading this manual. So toss that all aside, and then my suggestion would be to download the manual on your tablet or something, and you can get that from Godox's website. This will make it much easier to learn about the flash, what it does, how it works and everything. It's way easier to read. Another confusing thing on here for me was when I have it on the camera and I go to the menu and I go to the flash settings, I can easily change my settings here. Do you hear Henry? Henry, come here. Henry, where are you? You can't go in my office. You cannot go in my office. Come here. Come here. What's the matter? What is it? Yep, here he is. What is the matter? You want to go in my office? That's where all the plants are, so he cannot go in there because you eat plants you're not supposed to eat, so you can't go. Yep, all right, well, go on, carry on. Okay, where were we? So I was just talking about this. So on the camera, you have the flash, and you can control all the settings here. See how it's switching things as I'm doing it on the camera? Okay, that's all great. The issue is when you switch to transmitter mode, right? When you have this mounted on here. Okay, you try to change things. So I want to go to manual, and it goes right back to TTL. You can see it here. One thing that I did learn that I didn't understand before was this TCM, which is TTL convert to manual. So the way that that works is if you've got it set on TTL and you go ahead and take a shot and the flash, it meters it. Well, then you switch to manual, it automatically remembers the settings that the TTL had, and then you can adjust it from there. It comes with a little pouch. It comes with a USB-A to C cable for charging. This is powered by an internal lithium-ion battery. And the advantages of that is it's got faster recharge times, and you don't have to worry about swapping out AA batteries or AAA batteries. It works a lot quicker. The disadvantages are eventually this will die, right? So the battery will eventually wear out in here and it won't really hold a charge. And I guess in the end, if you realize that the bulb in these probably eventually burns out too, maybe it doesn't make that much of a difference. But I would really have preferred to see an interchangeable lithium-ion battery. I would just say in the interest of, not building things that have to be thrown away and replaced, it would be nice if you could just swap out the battery if they sold that. But they don't. One nice little accessory that you can get with this is this Godox TR. And you got to get the one that goes for your camera. So this is the F for Fujifilm. But what this does is it's a little riser, hot shoe riser, and it also provides some tilt capability up and down. But when I got it, it was one of these other little things that you're just like, yeah. I was trying to get it to tilt, and I couldn't figure out how it did it. I see this little arrow here, but it's very hard to push. So don't bother with that. Just go ahead and mount it on the camera. And I like the way these lock with the button versus the dial here that you've got to turn to tighten it down. This is really nice how this works. And then if you take this and you mount this on top, this is great if you got really long lens and you don't want to have the flash shadow cover it. You've got it. Then all you got to do here is you can tilt it up and down. It's pretty easy to do. So that gets it up off the camera if you need to. I don't really have any more long, big lenses, so it's really not an issue for me, but I like the ability to maybe bounce this off the ceiling and not have it be straight in your eye where you get that deer in the headlight flash with most on-camera flashes. This thing does support 3 groups, A, B, and C. You can configure it. It's got high-speed sync. It has basically all the functions and more that this has. And it's just very, very easy to configure. One thing that tripped me up was I wanted to use the TT350 as a remote off-camera flash and control it with the IT30 Pro. And I had gone ahead and set this up to be a transmitter. And I turned on group A. So you just, when you want to turn on a group, just tap it and hold it and it'll pop back up, and then you can adjust it with a slider what kind of intensity you want, right? So I've got it on group A, and when it tells you here, it's channel 16, and I'm using the group. So I've got group A turned on. And when I go to the settings, see channel 16, you see ID off, right? Okay, ID. That's helpful if you've got other people with flashes in the same room and you want to make sure that your trigger isn't going to fire off somebody else's flashes or vice versa. You can pick a unique ID, right? So it's between 1 and 99. If you have it off or have it set to a number, this is where I ran into a problem where it wasn't working, right? So this flash was not firing. It was on channel 16, and I was like, what is going on? Why doesn't this work? I had it set up in the receive mode, which is called slave on here. They really should update the terminology. I did some research online, and I found a Reddit post. Somebody was talking about this, and apparently you have to press and hold down the zoom button on here, which takes you to the custom function menu, right? You have to, because on these here, they have two sets of functionality. One is a quick press, the other is a hard long press, and that enables that. So when you press this down long, you get a menu. And if you scroll by here, you're going to get ID equals off, right? Well, mine said ID equals 1. Ah, that's the problem. It wouldn't work. So once I switched this to ID off, which is not in the same place where you pick your channel, right? So you hold down the slave button and then the channel starts blinking and you can pick your channel. But there's no spot here to pick your ID, but there is on this one. So that can be confusing for you because you're like, okay, well, maybe this doesn't support IDs because I didn't see it there. And you realize that it does, but it's in a completely different spot because whoever designed this menu system, you know, I don't know why they have to make it so complicated. When you're using the on-camera flash, and if you're just using this just as a standalone, just on-camera flash, I've never liked the way shots looked with a flash, especially indoors with a flash. And Paltatech had some good videos about how to work with flash. I'd recommend you watch some of those because it really helped me. Basically, if you leave it in TTL, you're probably going to want to dial it back, the power setting on it. And the way that you do that is you can do that on the camera or you can do it on the menu. So if I turn this on and I put it in TTL, I can come over to here just using the toggle and I can lower the flash power. You can go all the way down to a -5 on here, right? But you notice on here it says -3. So don't let that fool you. It is 5, or it is a -5, but you could just get a couple of extra settings, lower settings on each end, high end and low end. Then it shows you on the screen here. This is still going to be a 5. And then as you go up, once you get to 3, it'll start updating this here. Now you see it says 2.7, 2.3. It's got a nice dial on here too, so that if you don't want to touch the screen or you've got gloves on or something, that comes in real handy. I like the fact that it's nice and bright and it's got full color. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you're interested in purchasing the flash, which sells for $74, and the Riser sells for, I think, under $14. I'll put the links in the description if you're interested in checking them out. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put those down. Question for you is, do you have a flash for your camera, and do you struggle with remembering how they work? I'm just curious if I'm the only one that's been having this problem. Like I said, a professional photographer that uses flash all the time probably has no issues with this, but somebody who doesn't use a flash that often, I really struggle with remembering how they work. And I definitely wish they would do better on the terminology and the menus for them. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.